कुछ रास्ते मुश्किल होते हैं, लेकिन मंजिल सब कुछ भुला देती हैं. We crossed some of the toughest terrain in Sikkim, bumpy, nerve-wracking, painfully slow, just to end up smiling like kids the moment we saw Gurudongmar Lake. In this vlog, we are taking you through Lachen, the sacred Gurudongmar Lake, a washout at Kala Pathar, a landslide scare on the way to Lachung, and the valleys of Yumthang. चलो दिखाते हैं आपको कैसे. Namaste and welcome to Journeying Souls, Rahul and Sweety. A quick heads up before you plan. Due to the government notifications during our travel window, a minimum 3-night stay was mandatory for North Sikkim, covering Lachen, Lachung and Gurudongmar Lake. Rules and road conditions here change fast, so check the latest weather and notifications before you set off. Shuku from We Care Holidays kept us updated and stayed connected throughout to ensure we were safe. Keep a few buffer days in your itinerary too, just in case. For the best experience, visit Yumthang Valley between March and June for spring blooms, or Gurudongmar and the high passes between October and November for clearest skies. Now coming to our travel experience. We reached Lachen around 4 p.m. and checked into our hotel, Highlander Retreat. Real talk, the town is quite basic with limited market options, and once the evening chill sets in, there wasn't much to do outside. But that's the thing about Lachen. ये एक छोटा सा border town है जिसका काम ही एक है. It's your essential overnight stopover before Gurudongmar the next morning. So go in expecting a quiet night, not a buzzing town. We stayed in, and the snow-clad mountain views from our window made up for it completely. Our package included breakfast and dinner, but the room had no central heating. By around 8 p.m, the chill set in properly, so we had to order a heating blanket for an extra 400 rupees a night. Worth knowing before you book. If your budget stretches a little further, Megallan, the Grand Lachen, same group as the Golden Bridge property we stayed in at Lachung, tends to have better amenities. We started off early morning for Gurudongmar Lake, packing up some breakfast from the hotel. And this is where the real adventure began. The distance is only 65 to 70 kilometers, but don't let that number fool you. क्योंकि ये road एकदम roller coaster है. Hairpin bends, loose gravel and drops on one side we deliberately didn't look at too closely. Our hearts were in our mouths literally, while David just hummed along, taking turns that had us gripping our seats like it was the scariest ride in an amusement park. David bhaiya, aapko डर नहीं लगता? We finally asked. He just laughed it off. Turns out, when you have driven this road more times than you can count, a 2,000-foot drop is basically background scenery. At around 7 a.m, we stopped for a quick coffee and snack break at what's known as the world's highest fast food point, Gurudongmar Fast Food, at roughly 13,000 feet. Further up, we stopped again at Madras Cafe, nearly 15,000 feet, for one warm last drink. At the army checkpost, the Jawans insisted we carry an oxygen spray. Worth remembering, since the air this high is thin enough to catch most people off guard. We didn't end up needing it, and when we joked about it, David just grinned. Sir, आप लोगों को तो अब आदत हो गई है. You two are basically mountain people now. By 11 a.m, we finally reached Gurudongmar Lake, and it's a completely different side of Sikkim. Down in Gangtok, everyone's chasing a glimpse of Kanchenjunga, but up here on this vast, high-altitude plateau, you won't spot it at all. Turns out Sikkim doesn't just have the world's third highest mountain going for it, it's also home to one of the highest lakes in India. Guys, we are at 17,800 feet high above sea level at the Gurudongmar Lake. We are talking 17,800 feet, fed by glaciers of Mount Kangchangyao and considered one of the sources of Tista River that runs through the entire state. And the setting itself, bare, brown mountains on one side, snow peaks on the other, and in between, this huge, still sheet of blue water with prayer flags fluttering in the wind. It's quite up here, really quite. Local legend says Guru Padmasambhava blessed a part of the lake so it never fully freezes, even when temperature drops well below -20. Sikh tradition connects it to Guru Nanak too, which is why you'll spot both prayer flags and a small Gurudwara right on its banks. One lake, two faiths, both revering it equally. While we were still closing in on the lake, the time on our watches quietly switched over to China time instead of India. A strange little reminder of how exactly close to the border we were standing. We obviously couldn't leave without a photo with the Indian flag. Jai Hind! Sweety gave the whole thing a flat 10 out of 10. Standing there, we got why the water sits this deep. Almost impossible blue, and for a second, the whole scene barely felt real. सच कहे तो ये मंजर भूलना मुश्किल है. Before we move on, standing this high up ourselves, we wanted to take a moment for Nirmal Purja, the mountaineer who redefined what's humanly possible in the Himalayas. In 2019, he summited all 14 of the world's 8,000-meter peaks in just about 6 months, a record nobody thought was achievable. We recently lost him in an avalanche on Broad Peak in Pakistan. If you haven't watched it already, his documentary 14 Peaks, Nothing is Impossible is on Netflix and it's worth every minute. May his soul rest in peace.
Giving up is not in the blood, sir. It's not in the blood.
Quick pause. If North Sikkim content like this is your thing, hit subscribe now because there's a lot more of this series still coming. From Gurudongmar, we pushed on to Kala Pathar, a viewpoint which sits around 15,500 feet above sea level. And it turned out to be a letdown for us. Raining, dark and slippery with almost nothing visible. क्या करें, मौसम का यहाँ कुछ भरोसा नहीं. If you're planning this add-on, check the weather first because on a clear day it's supposed to be worth it, and on a bad one, you are just praying to stand in fog. One more tip, if you're planning this yourself, for Gurudongmar, base yourself in Lachen, not Lachung. We got confused about this too. The names sound similar and people mix them up all the time, but they are separate towns. 3 to 4 hours apart. Lachen is your base for Gurudongmar and Kala Pathar. Lachung, which we headed to next, is your base for Yumthang and 0 Point. And this is where the day turned tense. We drove back through Lachen and continued straight on to Lachung. No second night in Lachen for us. What we didn't fully realize until later, the road ahead had landslide activity. And the stretch we had just crossed shut down for several days right after we passed through it. Travelers who left even a little later than us got stuck in North Sikkim for days because of it. We got lucky, or as David himself would put it, North Sikkim mein meri kismat hi alag hai. Got us through it before the mountain decided otherwise. Upon arrival at Lachung, we checked into Lachung Pride Hotel that night, and we wouldn't sugarcoat this one. It rained heavily that evening and the hotel ran into continuous power cuts with only limited generator backup. The staff were kind and did what they could, but there is only so much a small generator can manage at that altitude. Sitting there in the dark, it got us thinking about North Sikkim as a whole. Roads wash out, bridges get affected in floods, and that's simply life at this altitude for the people who live here. What struck us most is that despite it all, everyone we met stayed warm, patient, and remarkably helpful. We would love to see more travelers make this journey, and a little more infrastructure, smoother rides, sturdier hotel amenities would go a long way. Not a complaint, just a wish. One route worth knowing, the Toong Naga Road, a critical lifeline connecting Lachen, Lachung and the border areas beyond, passing through Toong village. Fun one for you. On the stretch between Chungthang and Lachung, keep an eye out for a waterfall locals call the Amitabh Bachchan Falls. ये नाम सुन के हम भी हंस दिए. Apparently, it's named for being tall and dead straight, just like the actor. It's one of Sikkim's tallest waterfalls too. Worth the 2-minute photo stop. And here's something that surprises first timers. There are no shortcuts up here. Whether you are headed to Gurudongmar or onto Lachung, you can cover the same stretch of road both ways. The next morning we set off for Yumthang Valley, the Valley of Flowers, which is about 24 to 26 kilometers from Lachung, sitting at close to 11,800 feet. Full disclosure, we didn't spot a single flower. Maybe wrong season for us, so if the blooms are a reason you're going, aim for March to May. But barely that mattered, because the valley itself is something else even without them. Picture a wide, open stretch of green and brown meadows, the Lachung River cutting straight through the middle, snow-capped peaks closing in on every side, and rhododendron bushes lining the slopes, just waiting for their season. घूमने का अपना ही मजा था. We spent the day clicking pictures, soaking in the meadows and taking in the scenery the whole drive up.
बर्फ से ढके पहाड़, क्रिस्टल जैसी साफ नदियाँ और लाचेन लाचुंग का जादू. कुदरत का असली स्वर्ग देखना है तो नॉर्थ सिक्किम आइए.
The evening before had brought relentless rain, enough that we seriously doubted we would make it up at all. So just reaching here on a clear day felt like a win in itself. This was the only activity planned for the entire day and it didn't need anything more. Zero Point and Mount Katao were both technically on the table from here, each at an extra cost. We ended up skipping both. The weather was too dicey to risk at. Katao stung a little more than most because we could see it clearly from our hotel window back in Lachung and it looked well worth the detour. If your weather cooperates on the day, we would say go for at least one of these two. On our way back to Lachung town, we checked into another hotel, Megallan's The Golden Bridge, a proper step up from the night before with mountain views straight out of our window. Ekdam sukoon wali jagah. With the rest of the day free, we wandered Lachung's small town and market area on our own, then spent some quiet time by the Lachung River, a tributary of the Teesta, just taking it all in. That's Lachung, Gurudongmar, Kala Pathar and a stretch of North Sikkim that's as beautiful as it is unforgiving. Next up, we trade the high passes for the hills of West Sikkim. Pelling and Ravangla are calling. Subscribe, turn on notifications and we'll see you in the next vlog. Jai Hind.